Judge, may I have a brief recess?
No. Go sit down.
May I have a brief recess?
Judge, may I please go play outside?
No!
Would you like it if I stood over here, like your counsel was asking you the questions? Would that make you feel more comfortable? Would it make you feel...
He just roasted the fuck out of them.
This man right now is having a stare down with me. It's very disrespectful.
I would have stared back, and then I would have started making funny faces. That's what I would have done.
I'm sorry. You're out of your mind.
Hearing that laugh in a courtroom is really uncomfortable. That is so uncomfortable.
They want you to believe they're not complicit to their baby's murder. But this is what they chose for a coffin and his burial?
I can't imagine anybody going back in the jury to deliberate from this and say not guilty. Can't imagine it.
Throughout yesterday and during the voir dire process, each of you were presented with quite a bit of information.
Now, if you've been watching court cases for a while, you know that unfortunately, the trial isn't just always about the evidence, all the testimonies, everything. It's about telling a story. And cases where justice really prevails usually involve a powerful and passionate prosecutor. That's a big part of what we look for to appropriately tell the story of everything that happened. Let me look. Let's see. What do we have here?
It is the duty of the jury to listen to and weigh the evidence presented. And I want to take the briefest moment to talk about where evidence comes from. Because it doesn't come from this podium. It doesn't come from myself. It doesn't come from Prosecutor Brian Stano. It doesn't come from Attorney Don Malarczyk. The evidence is going to come from this witness box.
Oh, I really like that he's talking to the jury. Like if you were sitting in the jury box, you might actually feel engaged. You feel like he's instructing you, like this is how we do it. Here's what you should prepare for. And it doesn't come off too, I don't know, in your face. It doesn't come off as manipulative. Sometimes when a prosecutor or a defense attorney is talking to the jury, it can be a little manipulative, but it just feels honest, transparent.
This is not a case about how it was done. This case will come down to this sole question, whether or not Ms. Powell at the time of the murder was suffering from a severe mental disease which prevented her from knowing the wrongfulness of those actions. And although that sounds like a direct question, I want to stress to each of you, it's not as simple as reading a medical report. It's not as simple as listening to testimony from doctors. You are going to have to listen to all the evidence. You're going to have to weigh that evidence. And the state believes that when you hear that evidence, apply it to your role as a juror, you're going to be able to recognize that Miss Sidney Powell is responsible for the murder of her mother, Brenda, and she was not suffering from a severe mental illness or disease that prevented her from knowing the wrongfulness of what she did.
I don't know why people keep going for the by reason of insanity or mentally ill defense. Have you ever been in a mental hospital before? It is comedic how many people that were perfectly sane during their manipulative and brutal murder that end up actually being sent to a mental hospital, and then they get in there and they say, oh my God, these women are actually crazy, get me out of here. And then they want to go to jail. They'd rather go to jail or get out. Were there movies in the 90s that like made it a big deal of not guilty by reason of insanity? Like, do you know what you're doing? Like,
Now, I think it's important to note, just briefly, that during the time of this, the Powell family used an app on their phones called Life 360.
Life 360?
An app that a lot of families use, especially families with children. It allows families to keep in touch, to make sure everybody's okay. Specifically allows you to let you know that the kids are where they need to be. And that comes into play on the morning of March 3rd. On the morning of March 3rd, Stephen Powell recognizes that the tuition still hasn't been taken out. So being a dad, he takes the effort to look at the website.
Oh, the tuition hasn't been taken out and he noticed. Oh my God.
So
the fact that Sydney's crying right here when he gets to the scariest part of the story. The moment that her dad realizes something's going on with the college. This is where Sydney starts shedding a lot of tears. She's breathing heavily. She's turning red. It's almost like she's reliving the moment that her father found out that something was up. I think this dude's doing a great job. I'm hanging on every word. I feel the stress of her situation. Being a great prosecutor in a criminal trial, it involves a lot of storytelling, and I think he's doing a really great job. I'm all in. I'm all in. I have no idea how the defense is going to follow this up. So Sidney Powell's mother, Brenda, works at a children's hospital dealing with children that have health issues, and also helping the families that are dealing with these really difficult health issues cope with life. Probably the therapeutic aspect, the physical therapeutic aspect, and then also the mental aspect of it as well. That's her job. Brenda leaves home.
She meets Miss Powell, Sidney Powell.
She comes home and Sidney's there.
We know that around 12 to 12:15, Miss Brenda Powell calls the University of Mount Union.
Mom calls the school when she gets home. She sees her daughter first.
She leaves a voicemail or a message with the secretary of the dean of students. John Fraser and Michelle Gaffney, they're still in a meeting. They cannot talk to Brenda at this time. But John Fraser and Miss Gaffney, they call back as soon as they're available.
They called back.
And they call Brenda back. But the phone call is interrupted.
No way.
John Fraser and Michelle Gaffney at this time hear a thud. And they hear screams.
No.
And they hear thud after thud after thud. They're still on the phone. They're trying to find out what's going on, but they can't get a response.
No.
And the phone call hangs up. And on the third call back, Brenda's phone picks up.
Oh my God.
Yes, this is Brenda.
Oh my God.
Now, Mr. Fraser, Miss Gaffney, they've met Sidney multiple times.
I'm
trying to address her enrollment issues. They know who Miss Powell is.
Oh my God.
And when that phone answers and the person on the other line announces herself as Brenda, John Fraser knows
that it's Sidney
Powell on the phone.
Ooh.
And he says, Sidney, I know this is you.
No.
And the phone is hung up again.
This is chilling. I hate saying that word. It just sounds so corny. It really is, though. I don't know how you feel right now. I feel not good. Not good. I feel the stress of all of that in that room.
Brenda is laying in her bedroom. She's on her back. And she's suffering from severe blunt force trauma and severe sharp wound trauma. She's bleeding out. Brenda is dying.
Oh my God.
Mr. Powell tells Sidney, well, Sidney, the police are on their way. And this is when Sidney, for the first time, she becomes hysterical. Dad, somebody broke in. Somebody broke in. There was a break-in. We heard glass break. And the phone call is terminated.
Lying all the... I don't know much about this, but I know some of you, I know some of y'all that are really into psychology, you would know. Is she a pathological liar? Is there a chance that she lies about lots of other things in her day-to-day life and that just got applied to this massive, brutal anxiety?
There was a break-in. There was a break-in. Somebody broke in. Mom's down. There's blood. There's blood. Mom told me to get out. Get out. She's trying to tell the cops that there was a break-in. Officer Legacy goes to the back room where he finds Brenda on the ground lying on her back. Unfortunately, Brenda, at the time when he got to her, he recognized that she was not surviving, that Brenda was dying.
I sometimes cannot stand to hear somebody lie like this. It's also pretty up to people that really have schizophrenia. Some people are watching this and they're like, really? Really? Now, in this clip, we can see Bean Boy's attorney, this lady right here. I want you to watch what she does. She sees the camera that's pointed at them. I can't believe that this actually happened. And then she starts to flip off the camera, makes sure that Bean Boy notices. Look, she's impressed him. Now, how often has this happened behind the scenes? We, the public, as well as the investigators, are hard-pressed to find out because this woman is under investigation at this point. I mean, to some of you guys, it might seem like a simple clip,
But right here, she has created a bond. It's me and Bean Boy against the media. Who the fuck does this? Who does this? Oh, that was so funny.
When these people are upset about specific things that have gone on from that table, like shooting the middle finger up at this court and laughing and joking, Miss McNeil, be quiet.
Yep. Shut up, Melissa.
When these people have sat in this courtroom and watched this behavior from that table and they want to say that they're not happy about it, what is the problem?
Judge, I have no problem because I have thick skin. But once you bring in my children, I think that's highly improper. And it's
I didn't even know you have children. I don't know what you're talking about. Your children? What about your children?
I just want to make it very clear. This beautiful judge and this dude in the gray suit are all arguing right now because Bean Boy is a bitch. Yeah, you's a bitch. That's literally why we're here right now. That's it, dude.
Before this court to allow that kind of testimony is also...
I don't remember any comments about any children. And if there was, it obviously didn't, it came and went without me noticing it.
Judge, I can assure you that if they were talking about your children, you would definitely notice it.
You need to sit down right now. You're out of line.
Let's cut it out.
In fact, you're excused. You need to go sit in the back with your
Get out!
Bye, bitch!
Mr. Weeks, please ask the lawyer from your office to go sit down and not say anything else.
Somebody escort him out.
To try to threaten my children and bring up my children is inappropriate.
Turn around.
To the back of the room now.
Turn around. Turn around.
That just violated about every rule of professional responsibility that I have never. If you're gonna get up here and you're going to...
Judge, I asked you to go sidebar on this matter.
You, sidebar or not, you don't have one of your assistant public defenders say something about my children?
Judge, that same venom that the court has expressed...
I just want to say right now, she is 1v22 right now, and she's sitting at the top of the podium. I'm here for it, okay?
is the same venom that defense counsel had to sit through this entire morning
she
when their children
brought up her children multiple times during the trial. Nobody knows if I'm barren or not. They don't know about my children. Sit down. Sit down.
Judge.
Sit down, Mr. Weeks.
Please do not summarily dismiss me.
I'm summarily dismissing you. Go sit down.
I'm asking the court. I asked the court to go sidebar.
Go sit down. You don't threaten the
Judge,
court's children.
Everyone in this
just
courtroom.
did that. Go sit down.
No one in this courtroom had to endure what we had to endure.
Go sit down. Miss McNeil has made her children a spectacle more than once during this trial. That was her choice.
That's right, Bozos. Tell him to have a seat.
You have no right to have one of your assistants come up here and suggest something about my children. Now, please go sit down.
Judge.
You're inappropriate and out of line. Go sit down.
That's right.
Judge, may I have a brief recess?
No. Go sit down.
May I have a brief recess?
Judge, may I please go play outside? No!
I've had a lot of time to think about things, and I didn't really know how to put it on paper. I didn't know how much I could say or how little I should say, so
just a reminder, she was offered a plea deal here to plead guilty and take accountability and walk away. So personally, I think that there should be one word on the paper, and it's guilty, and we should just move on from there.
Kintu Sukuroi is a kind of Japanese ceramic style which means to repair with gold.
The theatrics. The theatrics. Sarah Boone is also a drama queen. That's what she is. She's a drama queen.
In this tradition, when a ceramic piece breaks, an artisan will fuse the pieces back together again using liquid gold or gold dust lacquer. So rather than being covered up, the breaks become more obvious and a brilliant new piece of art emerges from the brokenness. It embraces flaws, weakness, and imperfections, and also teaches the essence of resilience. Every crack in a ceramic piece is a part of its history, and each piece becomes more beautiful because it has been broken. This is the wisdom of Kintu Sukuroi. In my wisdom, and with all of my repairs, then, now, and ongoing, God is, has been, and will always be my artisan. All of my gold is forgiveness. This has held me together, made me shine brighter, and overcome the damage caused by George Torres, the Torres family, the justice system, Orange County Corrections Department, social media, scoundrel detectives, infamy.
She is the victim. Everyone's wrong except for me. George was wrong. George's family was wrong. The courts are wrong. Social media is wrong. If you don't believe me, you're wrong and you're victimizing me.
Defamation, ongoing constitutional rights violations, second-degree murder, forced into being pro se. Just as gold is very precious, forgiveness is invaluable. Forgiveness is not an attempt to change or forget who, what, or how you've lived through to be so gold, but an act of grace, humility, and considerable self-compassion.
Bitch, shut the fuck up. I am so forgiving. You can walk all over me. You can spit on me. And if you tell me that you're sorry and why, and we move past it, I will forgive you, you know? I'm willing to forgive people if the weight that we're carrying is just too much for me and I just want to get rid of it. I'll do it, right? People like Sarah, they love you. They love you because they can walk all over you and you'll forgive them because it's too stressful for you to continue to hold that against them. Sarah loves people like you. She wants to abuse you and then she wants you to forgive her. And you should forgive her because forgiveness is good. So give it to me. Forgive me. Everybody, let's just forget about this and let me go home.
Forgiveness is not an attempt to change or forget who, what, or how you've lived through to be so gold, but an act of grace, humility, and considerable self-compassion to be set free from sorrow. Withholding forgiveness denies your brilliance and adds even greater grief and deeper heartache.
Listen to her manipulating everyone into giving her what she wants. What she wants is forgiveness, and she wants everybody to forget and move on. So she is actively trying to manipulate the family and the courts into forgiving her by saying that that is a greater human value that they should want and strive for. So give me the forgiveness.
Withholding forgiveness denies your brilliance and adds even greater grief and deeper heartache. Irreparable cracks on top of the already that no one deserves, no matter the pain or disappointment, untruths or injustice. It doesn't matter. As the more broken you are, even though now different than before, you've become more outstanding and more extraordinary. Above all, when you let go of blame, misunderstandings, excuses, give up your anger and cease from resentment, this is forgiven. And when you forgive, you heal. And when you heal, you move forward. My goal begins with George Torres, and every time he slapped me, kicked, punched, spit on, raped, stabbed, choked, laughed at, pushed, pulled, dragged, whipped, tripped, stole from,
tomatoes,
lied,
please give me the tomatoes. I need the tomatoes.
Humiliated, forced, degraded, made me cry. Every time he tried to end me, defeat, or destroy.
Crazy that she just said all of that stuff so maliciously and with so much conviction after giving her own little speech about forgiveness. George was murdered almost 5 years ago, but, you know, when she wants to try to use this shit that she made up to her advantage, forgiveness is out the door. This is not helpful to her case. This is personal. And personally, I think it's in bad taste. I think it's in really bad taste.
Another great contributor of my gold is social media, with its greed, insensitivity, deception, obvious exploitation, and advantageous gain from my criminal case as a whole,
Sarah.
and for sentencing me by anticipation as a result of ignorance and hate,
Sarah.
Conjured and fabricated by
Did she just call me hateful and ignorant? Bitch, we watched the body cam footage. Come on.
Conjured and fabricated by the organized crime that is social media.
Organized crime? You organized criminals? It's his family. It's the judge. It's the court. And guess what else? It's you guys too. But you know what? If you turn around right now, you can fix this. You can actually be an upstanding member of society. And all you have to do is believe Sarah Boone, you piece of shit. You're a fucking criminal. You know why? Because you don't forgive her and you don't believe her. Because listen to what she's saying. Can you just fucking stop and believe her? Dude, this is crazy. This is crazy.
Social media has made me a pariah. It has caused great oppression and undeniable disadvantages, especially by broadcasting and manipulating my cases online. In my criminal case, as a result, my opportunities to be given a fair, proper, and uninfluenced, successful conclusion was heavily depleted and poisoned. I forgive them. Also,
Thanks,
all of
Sarah.
the media tycoons for not having a life of their own, trying so desperately to make themselves seem so right by making me appear so wrong.
Guys, Sarah might be right. This is one of those shocking scenarios where every single person was wrong except the potential killer. Every single person was completely wrong, and there was just something that they weren't seeing, and they need to forgive.
I didn't mean for this to happen.
Sorry, Sarah, the social media police are here again.
I would never. Forgive me, George.
No.
Forgive me, Torres family. Forgive me, Judge Cranick.
No.
To the entire planet, please forgive me.
No! And by the way, hey, for my little forgiving people, my sweet little baby angels with all their empathy and don't set boundaries and they're stressed all the time, I need you to know, somebody can look at you so humanly and say, please forgive me. And you know what you can say to them? Not right now. Or you know what? No.
I graciously and humbly ask for consideration for forgiveness to be extended instead of judgment. For reconciliation and restoration for all of us to move forward. My apology is profuse and ceaseless. Allow me, please, to brush off the muck, wipe the blood off of my face, and fix the cuts in my skin.
Oh my God! I told you, she's a drama queen. She's dramatic.
I ask for understanding in what really happened and for how long. For second chances, repentance, and redemption to advocate for all domestic violence survivors, to help them overcome, heal, and still hope. Always, to make their voices heard, to confidently walk with all of their scars on the outside and the inside, to help them not ever become a casualty of domestic violence as so many others, to stop the abuse and maltreatment before it's too late. There is always hope, and you can survive.
Court has had the opportunity to review the evidence and testimony that was presented at trial. The victim impact statements presented here today, the statements of character witnesses, both orally and in writing, Dr. Harper's report and testimony, the arguments of the state and the arguments of the defense.
Oh my God, it's happening.
Court pronounces sentence as follows. Ms. Boone,
4 years,
court
guys.
sentences you to life in the Department of Corrections with credit time served that Madam Clerk will provide to you momentarily. There are also court costs and costs of prosecution, which Madam Clerk will give you the totals of momentarily. Due to the court levying a life sentence, the court is inclined to liquidate those to a civil judgment unless I hear opposition from the state.
All right.
Madam Clerk, if you could please give us the credit time served and the court costs, please.
Oh, yeah, they got the life conviction. Oh my God.
He literally looks like him. Oh my God, dude.
You will have 30 days from today to appeal the judgment and sentence in writing. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to you. I'm going to have the courtroom deputy provide you the paperwork. Because you've been incarcerated for the last 58 some odd months, the court is going to declare that you are indigent in this matter. I cannot appoint the public defender to represent you as they are conflicted out.
You can figure that out
Similarly,
yourself,
I cannot
Sarah.
appoint the Regional Conflict Counsel to represent you for the same reasons. The clerk will appoint an attorney from the conflict wheel who specializes in appellate litigation. And again, you'll have 30 days from today to appeal that judgment and sentence in writing.
I would love to see her taken away.
And I wish you the best of luck. State, anything further?
No, please keep the camera
Defense,
rolling.
anything further? All right.
We've waited 4
Thank
years
you all
for
very
this.
much.
My understanding of the Jodi Arias trial is that her defense team went all out. They made her look very sweet. They made her look very innocent. They, spun up this whole story of unrequited love. They tried to say that Travis Alexander was abusing her, but they did not expect the prosecutor in this case. And he made this whole case about sex to basically dispel the whole nice, sweet Christian girl, or not Christian, nice, sweet Mormon girl image that Jodi Arias was trying to portray. And he flipped this shit on its head.
Travis Alexander had the misfortune of meeting up with the defendant in Las Vegas, Nevada at the MGM Grand back in September of 2006.
He's going to tell you pretty much everything. And this is true. This is exactly how they met. Jodi was just at a convention. Travis was there to sell some stuff. She was super hot. He started bringing her around, and it was one of those really fast whirlwind romances. But if you guys have ever been in a situation where you guys kind of fell into it or fell in love pretty quickly, it never lasts.
Initially, he was mostly interested in converting her to the Mormon faith.
I gotta say this too. Jodi Arias converted to Mormonism to pull Travis in even further.
This was an incredibly manipulative tactic because Jodi never practiced Mormonism or cared about it because she used sex to keep Travis around for the longest time. And for Travis, he didn't want all of this because he did, like, he wanted to sleep with Jodi. Now, however, he would always, afterwards, he would feel great remorse because he truly was a Mormon. He really, really was. And to him, this sex they were having was a huge sin.
They break up. That's June 29th of 2007. And remember, at that time, she's still living in Southern California in the Palm Spring area. And so after they broke up, you would expect that perhaps the emails would end, you would expect that perhaps the text messages would end, and maybe that the calls would attenuate. But just the opposite happens. Because instead of staying there in Southern California, or perhaps moving to where she was originally from, which is Wairika, California, which is on the Oregon-California border, instead of going there after this breakup in June of 2007, what does the defendant do?
After Travis ended things with Jodi, she moved closer to him.
There was no relationship between him and the defendant other than this constant contact and this sexual relationship between the two.
Y'all gotta watch out for these women's bees sitting here just playing cool girl all the time. Like, y'all ever been in a situation where the actions just don't match how they're acting? Like, oh, yeah, it's cool. Let's just have sex. Let's just have casual sex. Like, it's no big deal.
I'm moving next door.
Hey, yeah, I'm just here to whatever. Like, that's not a big, I don't want to date you, whatever.
I'm here coming in through the doggy door.
Like, look at the signs.
With regard to this particular camera, and you said that it was 45 seconds, right?
Yes.
Did that take 45 seconds, sir?
On the floor.
More like a circle if you want to get into geometry.
I'm asking you who's making the money, aren't I?
The people who work the hardest.
Sustained.
Who we've talked about 2 times. What about the 3rd time?
Well, let's continue on with that time. I
Sir,
met her several.
I'm asking you when you met her the 3rd time. You don't get to ask the questions, I do. So when was the 3rd time you met her?
Did you like it when he called you a three-hole wonder?
No.
Oh, sorry. For you guys that didn't catch that, for clarity, 3-hole wonder. 3.
Picture of your dumb sister, Angela, correct? And that's a picture of you, correct?
Yes.
Right here. And the other one is a picture of your dumb sister, Angela, correct?
That's my sister. She's not dumb.
But I honestly think, talking about Angela, she's a little bit dumb. You said that, right?
Yes, I called her dumb and stupid.
Did I ask you whether or not you called her stupid, ma'am?
No.
I asked you whether or not you called her dumb, right?
Yes.
Place it semantics.
So you can tell us, for example, what kind of coffee you bought at Starbucks back on June 3rd of 2008, but you can't tell us what you said yesterday or the day before?
I always got the same drink at Starbucks.
And he was there with the female, though. You were able to see her face, all right?
Yes, sort of.
Well, yes or sort of means 2 different things. Yes or no? Were you able to see her face or not?
Part of it was shadowed from the
Yes,
TV
no,
behind
ma'am.
her, so I
Ma'am,
saw part of it.
Judge, she's not answering my question, if you can instruct.
Oh! Bring the
If there is,
reinforcement.
listen carefully to the question and answer only the question you are asked.
Okay.
May continue.
Could you see her face? Yes or no?
Part of it.
No,
Bubble.
that's...
That's on top of.
Oh, I love the braids.
I know those are hot.
That's your voice, right?
Yes, and Travis's.
Did I ask you if that was Travis's voice, ma'am?
Bro,
You worked at Mimi's Cafe, right?
Yes.
You had been working that day, right?
Yes.
Your shift was over, right?
Yes.
What time did your shift start?
It varied.
That day? What time did your shift start?
In the morning.
What time?
Sometime in the morning.
Your problems with your memory, is it of recent vintage?
Define recent.
Oh my god.
I don't know, since you started testifying.
I am
No,
fucking
it goes
crying.
back.
How long far back does it go?
I don't even know if I'd call it a problem.
Dude, this is actually, this is a pretty good tactic here because, okay, to me, the first layer of this is Jodi sitting here and being like, I don't know what happened. Nothing ever happened. I don't know, because that's what her attorneys told her to say, right? But that's the only tool she has. Now, if this prosecutor can come in and realize that there's a great angle in destroying her credibility by really showing how she says, I don't know, to like everything, he can play the fuck out of her and show the jury that she's going to say, I don't know, towards like really scary questions that she doesn't know their use without Jodi even realizing what's going on. Because she's just following her attorney's instructions and then he's just playing the fuck out of her.
Suck damn fiddle.
Oh, and I love that. Play her. How far back what goes?
We're talking about your memory problem, right?
I don't know that I'd really call it a problem.
Okay.
I just
Is it?
have,
She's
I
so
don't
smart.
remember
I don't know,
every
I call it a
single thing
problem.
that's
Well, it is right now,
happening.
bitch.
Your memory issues. We're talking about those, right?
I wouldn't even call them issues, but okay, my memory.
Well, you don't want to call them problems, right?
No, I don't want to call
You don't want to call them issues, right?
I don't know. I really
Right?
don't.
You don't want to call them issues. You just told me that, right?
I didn't say I don't want to.
All right, so can we call them issues then?
Okay.
What factors influence your having a memory problem?
I love this.
Usually when men like you are screaming at me or grilling me, or someone like Travis doing
Okay,
something.
Jodi, bad move, you stupid bitch. Like, you just showed everyone that he's getting under your skin. Like, come on. How are you gonna sit here and play nice, sweet, innocent girl, but then you gonna make a comment like that? I can't! This is so good, though.
So, you're saying that it's basically what you're saying is Mr. Martinez's fault that you can't remember things that are going on.
It's not your fault.
I'm not saying that.
She just
You're
said it.
saying that, isn't it?
No, I'm not saying that.
You just said that.
Is
You
there
said to men
something
like you were
about
screaming in
a
my...
certain decibel of the voice that creates problems?
Decibel, tone, content, sort of a combination of those factors.
What are you trying to say?
Am I allowed to tell you what I'm trying to say?
What is this music?
He is gay and he was acting dramatic.
Huh?
What? Okay.
Other than you, who would be sure about your statements?
God.
Well, God's not here. We can't subpoena him, right?
I don't think so.
Hey everyone, it's your boy. Sorry to interrupt, I just wanted to take a moment to say I do not know this bitch. Well, I do know her, I mean, I know all of you, but I don't know her, and I'd very much like it if she kept my name out of her mouth. Also, if she could never sing again, that would be great.
Do you have problems with your memory?
Occasionally.
You didn't seem to have any problems on direct examination when you were talking to us about all the sexual exploits with Mr. Alexander, did you?
I did have problems.
You regaled us for days on end about his exploits, didn't you?
I wouldn't say regaled.
Okay, you told us about it for days on end, didn't you?
I just answered the questions I
Yes
was
or
asked.
no? You told us. When the question was posed, you told us, didn't you?
To the best of my recollection.
Is anybody saying that you didn't do it to the best of your recollection?
You're implying that?
Ma'am, isn't it true that
See, it's little comments like that you're implying it. That's real Jodi. That's what she's really thinking, what she's really saying.
Well, isn't it true that you had a great memory when you were on direct examination with regard to issues involving Mr. Alexander's sexual exploits?
Objection, Your Honor, you asked and answered.
That wasn't my goal, so...
Well, was your goal to go to prison?
Not a physical prison on Earth, no.
And in fact, that was something that you were trying to avoid, right?
I don't know. I was trying to kill myself, I think.
Ma'am, and that what you did then is you took a razor, right?
Yes.
And that you cut yourself, right?
It was a nick.
It was a nick. And because it stung so much, that you said, nah, this is not the way for me to go, right?
I didn't say that.
You said it stung and that's why you stopped. Isn't that what your direct testimony was?
That night, yes.
Right. And that's the night that I'm talking to you about, right?
Yes.
I'm not talking to you about any other night, am I?
It sounded like you were.
No?
Dude,
just to be clear, I'm not talking about any other night, am I? Do you understand that?
Okay, I understand that.
And you nicked yourself and it hurt, right?
Yes.
And I think the word that you used, stung, right?
Yes.
To use your standard, ma'am, of how you stopped because it stung. Can you imagine how much it must have hurt Mr. Alexander when you stuck that knife right into his chest? That really must have hurt, right?
Argumentative.
Oh my God. No, let it out, brother. Say it again.
Say it again.
If he's an afterthought, that means the primary thought that you had when you left Wairika back on June 2nd was to see Travis Alexander then.
Jodi Arias attempted to kill herself so that she could get sympathy, made some kind of nick on her wrist, per her own words. I'm not minimizing an attempt. This seems like it's false. She makes a nick on her arm, but then later, to victimize herself, but then later slits the throat of a man she claims she loved, stabbed him, and then shot him. Once again, this kind of connects to that story I was telling you guys earlier. It's about preservation of the ego. It's here's this person that is doing something to me that I can't control, these emotions, these things that I'm feeling. And it's like, well, if I kill this thing, then I can hold my ego together. But it's our responsibility to hold it together. It's ours. You can't just kill things in your environment and not work on yourself. Like, this is just crazy.
So, but you just told us that you're having problems answering the question because of the prosecutor's posture. Didn't you tell us that?
That's not the direct reason, but that's a trigger.
Well, that's what you told us just now, right?
Something to that effect.
Right. And so, would you like it if I stood over here, like your counsel was asking you the questions? Would that make you feel more comfortable? Would it make you feel...
Roasted the fuck out of them. He said, you want me to stand over here and be nice like your counsel? Look at her face when he says that shit.
Like your counsel was asking you the questions, would that make you feel more comfortable?
Yes, Your Honor, improper comment on counsel.
Sustained.
Also, can I just say this? Like, especially because I know this is gonna end up on YouTube later, is some people were like, why is BOZE so like bouncing around and everything and so high energy during this video? I don't know for sure for Travis, and I don't know for all of you guys, but me personally, if this woman did this shit to me and then she went up here and acted like this on the stand, I need everyone to be looking at how dumb this woman is and how much stupid shit she's saying, and everyone to be making fun of her. Like, if I'm Travis, that's exactly what I want to happen. Like, I don't want anybody watching my case being like all sad and somber the whole time. Like, shit, that gets old for a while and I'm up in heaven. Like, fuck Jodi. Fuck Jodi, especially she doing all this stuff out on the...
Do you remember that we're talking about Travis Alexander? Let's start with that.
Yes, I remember that.
That's why we're here, because you killed him, right?
Yeah. He said fucking.
He said fucking what?
That I'm a fucking idiot.
Correct! Jodi's story is that she killed Travis in self-defense because he rushed her. The photos? Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to fit into Jodi's story.
Day 12 of former TikTok star Abulaban's double murder trial.
I'm not here to twist anything. I have nothing to hide.
He spent more than 15 hours being questioned on the witness stand.
You were looking up trash cans because you wanted to hide some bodies, correct?
I'm sorry. You're out of your mind.
During Thursday's cross-examination...
Yo, hearing that laugh in a courtroom is really uncomfortable. That is so uncomfortable.
It seems Deputy District Attorney Taryn Brast is getting under his skin.
You were also researching teen porn videos, correct?
What? What did you just say?
That's what you were researching, correct?
Say it again?
Teen porn.
Oh my God! That's exactly what he was like in a relationship. Can't take any accountability for what he did.
That's what you were researching, correct?
Say it again?
Teen porn videos.
You're out your mind.
Okay. On October 19th, you were researching Sean Torres, correct?
Show me the teen you just said. You want to paint me as some kind of child molester? Show me. Show me.
I mean, you're already a double murderer. We don't like you. What are you going to save it with this one?
What you just said, I've never seen that in the discovery. I've been incarcerated 3 years. You never showed that to my team. Where did you get that?
It's in your phone.
Show it.
You researched Sean Torres on October 19th.
Show me what you just said. You were not going to breeze over that. You're not going to paint me as something I'm not.
Brast questioning Ali about his emotional response the day before when he recalled the shooting.
Not a single tear fell from your eyes, isn't that right?
I wiped a tear off this table.
The defense now planning to review the evidence and talks of a
This is insane. Do I need to watch the whole cross-exam?
Trial after this question from Brast.
You told inmate Brian Edwards that you killed your and the man she was with, correct?
Who is Brian Edwards?
You said that to Brian Edwards, correct?
I'm gonna have to. Can we talk? Because I don't know what this is about. We're talking about inmates now, like an informant. What's going on? We've never had this
Mr.
conversation.
Abulaban, answer my question.
Let's go through Dalia Dippolito case with a fine-tooth comb.
I know what you're thinking. What a cute little girl. But I'm not. I'm a lot tougher than I look. That's what the defendant, Dalia Dippolito, said to the other undercover officer from the Boynton Beach Police Department.
Stop looking like me.
August 3rd
I don't like that.
2009. She meets undercover agent Woody Jean because she wants to kill her husband, Mike Dippolito. He asked her, "Are you sure you want to kill him?" She said, without hesitation, as if she had ice running through her veins.
Give it to us, girl.
She says, "There's no changing. I'm determined already. I'm positive."
Bitch, who are you looking at? Did y'all see Dalia doing the... Like, we got it on video. What is the side eye for?
When I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. And then she laughed. She laughed when Agent Woody Jean asked her, "So, is this someone you're married to?" She
mad.
laughed because she'd been married for exactly 6 months. She laughed because she thought she could fool him, and she thought she could fool everyone else, and that she could get away with having him murdered. But she didn't know that the man that she had met with on August 3rd of 2009
was an undercover cop
in a red Sebring convertible in the parking lot of a CVS in Boynton Beach, Florida, was actually an officer.
Goddamn!
Named Woody Jean.
Dude, this is a good prosecutor. If a prosecutor gets me riled up like that, like, I'm here for it, baby. Lay it in.
She didn't know about Mohammed Shihada, her friend, her lover, that had actually gone to the police. She didn't know that he had a conscience. She thought that he was helping her plan her husband's murder.
Oh, I got some info about him, too.
But Mohammed Shihada didn't want to see Mike Dippolito get killed. He didn't know Mike Dippolito, and he'd had a physical relationship with Dalia Dippolito for years, the defendant. But he went to the police because he knew that she was serious. So what the police did is they had Mr. Shihada set up a meeting with the defendant at a mobile gas station at the corner of Gateway and I-95. And that's a place that they had met before on several occasions. And what you will see, what is this? Is that this mobile gas station here at Gateway and I-95 is less than 1.6 miles from the house the defendant shared with her husband. It's a half a mile from where she met with Woody Jean, the undercover agent.
Okay.
She plotted the murder of her husband within less than 2 miles from her house.
That's cold. There's something real cold about that.
She meets Mohammed at the mobile gas station on August 1st of 2009. Mohammed tells her to bring a down payment so that he can pay the hitman at the request of the police department. There's a video camera in the car. Mohammed doesn't know he's being taped with a video camera. He does know he's being audio recorded. He doesn't know that he does know the detectives are listening in, but he doesn't know that everything that happens between him and the defendant that day was recorded. She hands him $1,200 in cash that day and 2 photographs. One of her husband, Mike Dippolito, and the second one of the house that they lived in. And she tells Mohammed, after handing over these photographs, to wipe her prints off the photographs.
Oh, she thinks she's
And why does she
slick.
do that? Because she doesn't want to get caught.
I think the $1,200 was just like her deposit, but that means that she probably was only paying like $3K. Dude.
She doesn't want her actions to seem suspicious. Mohammed asks her an interesting question. So after they kill him, your mom and his mom, are they not going to get suspicious of you or anything? And she says, why me?
telling somebody it, nobody's gonna be able to point a finger at me.
So she thinks because she doesn't do the action, her hands are clean. But the thing is, if this person would still be alive if it wasn't for you, you're just as guilty. You're more guilty because it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for your wishes.
I'm gonna tell them about the guys he knows. I'm gonna throw all their names in. I'm gonna start naming a whole bunch of stuff. And guess what? When she was questioned by the police after her arrest on August 5th of 2009,
That's exactly what she did. That's right, yep.
During the trial, you're gonna get to hear several calls between the defendant and Mohammed.
Remember this, the killer will almost always throw the victim under the bus. Most people, when they find out someone that was close to them or someone they knew has passed away, they'll have this sensitivity. They'll have this like, oh my God, they're gone now. But the person that was involved, they don't give a fuck. They'll be like, oh yeah, he ran with a bunch of drug dealers. He owed this guy a bunch of money. I think he might have been doing cocaine again. Like they'll just start throwing the victim under the bus immediately.
You're also gonna hear several calls between Agent Woody John, posing as a hitman, on the phone. The first conversation on August 3rd of 2009 at 2:47 p.m. He tells the defendant, I need $3,000 and a key to your house. And he tells her where to meet him. You will see a video of the defendant in the car with Agent Woody John. You will see how she acted, and you will hear exactly what she said on that day. And you'll see that she is caught in the act of being herself. Agent John tells her exactly how Mike Dippolito will die. He says he's gonna get 2 to the head, and that's it.
Dude, she's good.
He says he's gonna make it look like a robbery that went bad. He tells her when it's all done, then I get paid. She agrees, and she says, I just need to make sure that everything is taken care of. She agreed to pay him $7,000 when it was done. They talk about the $1,200 that she'd already paid him. She even tries to convince the undercover agent that he should rob her husband, who's gonna be at a bank in Boca Raton that morning.
Oh my God.
And he's gonna have $10,000 on him.
She said that to an undercover cop.
Oops. She says that would be ideal because it would make it look like there's some reason to kill him. They talk about her going to the gym in the morning that her husband's gonna get murdered. And the agent says, who she thinks is an undercover hitman, the time you get back from the gym, you're gonna find 2 things. His dead body in the house or nothing. She says, all right. And then what does she do on Wednesday morning, August 5th of 2009? She leaves her house and she drives to the gym, just like they planned. And you know what she took with her to the gym that day? Mm-hmm. She took with her an $1,800 Prada purse filled with all the expensive jewelry that Mike Dippolito had given her during the course of their marriage. Her over $20,000 engagement ring, all of her David Yurman jewelry, her expensive watch.
She's a really good prosecutor, right? And I always say this, the truth flows pretty well. I was eating up every word she said. It made sense, timing sounded right, motive sounded right. She's got video evidence to back up a lot of stuff, which is uncommon in a lot of cases. So how is the defense gonna follow that up?
I'd like to take this opportunity.
Am I tripping? Or was that like a, oh, hee, this moment, ooh, oh, this is so, hold on. I have to run it back.
I'd like to take this opportunity to wholeheartedly accept responsibility for the role that I've played in the murder of a human raper. I would like to apologize for my actions, first and foremost, to the family. I'm sincerely sorry for the distress that I've caused you and the devastation I've caused your family. And from the bottom of my heart, I am sorry for your loss.
I will say there's occasionally times where people have like nervous laughter, or they're anxious about something, and they, before they get to it, they kind of like smirk or laugh or smile. But this moment in the trial where everything has been laid out, the magnitude of his actions, he should know by now. There should be no more nervousness. There should be no more like, oh, sorry, this happened. Like, with everything that's been laid out, he should have a full understanding, especially if he's going to sit here and try to apologize to Noe McGregor's family. Nobody believe
I
you.
would also like to apologize to the community, to just the ripple effect that my actions have had, everyone that has affected. I would like to apologize to Noe McGregor's church. I know that she was I know now that she was a very active member there and doing a lot of good things there.
He don't care.
I apologize for what I did and how that affected them. I would like to apologize to my family. I love you guys so much, and I'm really sorry for what I've done.
Psychopath. I don't think I've ever heard an emptier apology. It's so lifeless. There's no remorse. There's no understanding. There's no care for like where he fits into society. Sometimes we feel that a little bit in people's reaction. Like they realize they have done something wrong. They realize they're being ostracized by society in a way. And like, he literally thinks this is funny. I think he still thinks that this is funny.
Plan on getting back out there as soon as I can.
I don't know about that.
I'd also like to apologize to the Goodale family. I'm sorry for the position that Jeremy's in, and I wish you the best, and I hope that he gets out as soon as possible.
Oh my God. Also, can you imagine being in Jeremy's family and this fucking clown like dragged your son into this? Like, don't get me wrong. That kid said yes every step of the way. But as a parent, I would be so infuriated at this kid right here. And that apology did absolutely nothing for me. I ain't feel a thing in my bones.
And also I'd like to apologize to the police department and the investigators there for the misinformation I provided back in 2021 to lead them on wild goose chase. I ended up there. I'm sorry for that.
You may as well just sit down.
I'm realizing just the magnitude of my actions, and I know it's wrong, and I knew it was wrong. And
is it just me, or is this apology making things worse? I almost feel like he shouldn't have spoken at all. I feel like this made it a lot worse.
And yet I still carried through. I still did what I did, and I accept responsibility for that. And I apologize to all parties, everyone affected.
He can't stop
smiling.
smiling.
To my family, to the Gravers, of course. And I ask that I'm given a chance, and I don't want to be institutionalized. I don't want to be in so long that I forget about what matters, where I come from, and what I need to do.
Even when he goes to jail, and he's going to the adult jail, right? Nobody in jail is gonna think this is funny. They're like, hey man, you killed somebody. You killed an old lady. You killed a grandma. And like, he's treating this like he's a high school boy that, I don't know. I don't even know what this is. I have no idea what this is. I feel like sometimes I'm watching true crime cases because I'm like, I need to understand what's out there in the world, what's out there in society. I still got nothing for this.
Mr. Baez, you may proceed.
Hello, Jose.
On behalf of the defense, I want to thank you for the sacrifice that you've made in your jury service and coming here.
You're welcome.
And helping us see justice. We are here, and you had to leave your homes because of an onslaught of publicity that lasted for 3 years. In the middle of sound bites and sensational media coverage, Casey Anthony stands trial for her life.
The thing that gets me about this is, I mean, when he comes in, he immediately sits down and he thanks the jury in what feels like such a genuine way. And then he apologizes for taking up your time. He apologizes that the state is, doing this to Casey and doing this to you. But it is our duty to be here today, so let's go ahead and get it done. I'm going to go ahead and go over, some of the things we'll discuss, and you'll hear from the defense. But, once again, I apologize that you're here today.
First off, I'd like to tell you what happened.
No!
We sat through almost 2 hours. There was day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and so on and so on. But no one ever told you what happened. But today, you will be the first people to know exactly.
He's got a PowerPoint. He's got a PowerPoint. Give it up, folks. God.
This is so good, and it makes me sick to my little tiny stomach.
Everyone wants to know what happened.
Even the way he phrases
How in
it.
the world can a mother wait 30 days before ever reporting her child missing? It's insane. It's bizarre.
Yeah, what's your excuse, Jose?
Something's just not right about that.
40 days. What's your excuse? What
Well, the
is he about to
answer
say?
is actually relatively simple.
Oh, you.
She never was missing. Kaylee Anthony died on June 16, 2008.
God,
She
he's
drowned in
so
her family's
good.
swimming pool. You're gonna hear that Kaylee loved to swim, and Kaylee could get out of the house very easily and did so on that day. We hear about it every day, or once a week, or once every other week. We hear of a story on the news, or we'll see a little blurb on the newspaper about some poor child who accidentally drowned in the family swimming pool. Well, the reason we're all here is because not of the commonality of this tragedy. In the state of Florida, it is the #1 way that children die.
How did she find
is
this
drowning
guy?
in swimming pools. What makes the reason we're all standing here today is because not of the commonality, but of the uniqueness of the family that it happened to. It got so bad that the FBI did a paternity test to see if he was Kaylee's father.
Where's
and when
the...
he was confronted with this information, he didn't deny it. He said, "We'll talk about it when the time is right."
That is
Well, the
not...
time is now.
Oh my God, dude.
The time is now.
Oh my
To try and
God.
save his sister's
no
life.
wonder George
Yet
did.
these
No wonder he did
secrets,
so much
these
press.
family secrets still remain locked. You're gonna hear all kinds of bizarre family behavior that just doesn't make sense.
If you're in Casey's family, if you're in the Anthony's, everybody's getting thrown under the bus. Casey is driving it. Jose's picking him up, throwing him under. Casey's driving the bus. Boom, run him over. See you.
How
That's it.
parents should stand by their child, but instead are throwing them under the bus.
How is he allowed to say
making
that without
bizarre
bringing in that?
statements and accusations.
Wow.
And that's what this case is going to be about. You're going to hear all kinds of interesting behavior from all parties, not just Casey. And once you see some of this behavior, you'll realize that the apple doesn't fall very far from the tree. We are what we are because of who brought us into this world and how we were raised. Casey was raised to lie. She could be 13 years old, have her father's in her mouth, and then go to school and play with the other kids as if nothing ever happened.
I need to lay on the floor, bro.
Nothing's
I need to lay
wrong.
on the floor. Imagine you're George. You're
That
George.
will help you understand why no one knew that her child was dead. That's the most important thing you must keep in the back of your mind, is that sex abuse does things to us. It changes you.
I can't. I think I'm just gonna lay on the floor for just a couple minutes.
Some people are fortunate to live with it. Others are not.
There's no way that they can prove or disprove this. And you know what the fucked up thing is? It's impossible to disprove a negative. If something just straight up didn't happen, there's no way to prove that it didn't happen. He is trying to fit a narrative that George killed Kaylee.
On June 20th, you
Yes,
heard Ms.
George
Rain
took the
Burdick
stand, and he
tell
took
you
several
about
press
Casey
interviews
running
after
out of
that.
gas. Well, what she does do is she does what she always does, and that's go in the shed and take gas from the gas cans. Everybody knew she wasn't working. George Anthony knew she wasn't working, but it's all part of the lie. It's all part of the facade.
Did George go to jail from the allegations? Absolutely not. No, he did not. And they do not speak to Casey anymore.
One of the biggest things overlooked in this case is that me and my siblings lost our dad too.
Babe, you did it!
My little brother was diagnosed with severe depression, and at his age that will probably take over most of his life. He wasn't allowed to say goodbye to my dad. He's 15 and not only has to live with that scar, but at the same time has to watch his big sister wait to come home. My little sister is still traumatized from having her car surrounded and her sister taken away. And worst of all, until the police blurted out our dad was gone, we had no idea. She too was kept from saying goodbye and is also struggling as she watches me go through this.
I have some thoughts. We'll continue.
And then there's me. It's almost been 2 years and I haven't been able to mourn. I refuse to think he's gone because no part of me can handle losing him. Those first few days when I moved back in with my mom.
These people, to me, are some of the most dangerous people. People that say, I can't believe I did that. Those are some of the most dangerous people, because whatever was in you that took that action and let the chemicals sit on the man, that's not gone just because you're crying now. I do believe that there is a sense of remorse here, but I do believe that there's like a split. I'm not saying that's like this is like a clinical like personality disorder split. People that don't have disorders or anything like that, they split all the time. They split between the bad behavior that they don't want to recognize that they do and who they believe that they want to be. It happens all the time, and you don't have to have a diagnosis or anything for that. There's a disconnect. And the fact that she says, I haven't even been able to mourn for the past 2 years because I don't want to believe that he's gone. To me, that says, I don't want to believe that I did what I did. That's a big fucking red flag for me, my dude. That's like the top type of person that needs to sit in a jail cell and think about what they did.
I am the best parts of him.
No.
But without him, I don't know who I am anymore.
Hey, don't you fucking kill me and then say that you're the best parts of me. What? I don't hate. Who bought this? Who was eating this up? Who was eating this up, bro?
I'm scared that he thinks I didn't love him because I wasn't allowed to be there.
Yo, you didn't see this. I'm about to move my head and a hero is about to appear. I want you to watch this lady over here, this blonde lady on the right side. Watch her look around the courtroom and try to figure out who is buying this shit. And then watch her say,
And that's a scar I'll never be able to lose. I get so scared that he thinks I didn't love him because I wasn't allowed to be there and hold his hand.
Okay, Miss Jean Jacket. Okay. Some people may not agree with me on this. I do believe that Megan feels a little bit of remorse and regret for what she did. But she needed to serve time to let the reality of the pain that she caused set in, man. This is exactly the type of person that's going to be a repeat offender. Exactly the type of person. Exactly. I feel like if a judge releases somebody that ends up being a repeat offender, especially for a violent crime, they need to get a little notification. They need to know who they let out into the world, so at least they can look out for those traits later or something. Because this don't smell right to me. Excuse me, let me move my camera here for my co-host. let me move, girl. Let me let you in. Is this okay for me to be here? Because look at her.
Nobody even wants to talk about him. Like, we're just supposed to move on, but I can't. That's my dad. If he's gone, and no matter how much I beg, coming back.
Gotta play it back. I got it.
If he's gone, and no matter how much I beg God, he's not coming back.
That's Dad's sister or something. I need to start paying attention to everybody's face. Is this the father's side of the family? We're about to get to her version of events.
On October 1st, I woke up only to find my dad drunk. Yeah, it was disappointing, but I understood why he was. Those last few weeks were hard on us because Austin was moving out, and we weren't ready for that. Those last few weeks, I self-harmed, so who was I to be mad at my dad for his way of coping? Yeah, I whined.
What a really subtle way to victimize herself in this. This is very subtle, but there's a lot of me. Is anyone else picking up on there's a whole lot of me going on? Me.
But it was no different from any other time. He kept falling asleep in the middle of me complaining. And when I yelled Dad, he wouldn't wake up. So I tossed some bread at him because he pees in bags and puts them on the floor, and it leaked that day, so I couldn't get to him to tap his leg.
You didn't have to say that. Like, you didn't have to say that. That was her trying to say, listen to how bad my dad was. Listen to how horrible he was. And that statement, that throwing the person that's dead under the bus, saying, I understand why they were struggling, but listen to what I had to deal with. But I love them so much. No. When you love somebody, you speak positively of them through and through. She very, very well, I don't give a shit if that happened or not. She could have left that out of the statement, right? Are you trying to preserve who your father was and talk about how much you loved him and how close you were? Or are you trying to justify your actions?
When he didn't wake up, I tossed some lightweight things at the end of the couch.
Oh! Sorry, just want to say this. I don't know if she's about to say it in here, but I read it in an interview. She told the police that she threw bread at her dad. She didn't know how this happened. She said bread.
When he didn't wake up, I tossed some lightweight things at the end of the couch so it would vibrate and wake him. I never threw water, but I knew why the couch was wet, so it was easier to lie than to admit your dad wakes himself. He did wake up though, and we talked it out. And although Mr. DeSantis would like to theorize on his consciousness, my dad and I both have said that we talked it out, and we don't leave angry. I would never and I would never hurt my dad.
That little line that she says about my dad and I, we don't leave conversations angry. We don't do that. That's like a line that comes from like a healthy home or like a healthy relationship that like you try to make happen in the home. When you're in an alcoholic home, anything goes. We don't have no home training. We don't have no skills. I think that's bullshit too. My dad and I had such a great relationship and we never like to leave the conversation angry. Well, how did you get so angry to the point that you dumped chemicals on him? Like, that's just like a lie. So when there's little things like that, how am I supposed to believe anything else that you're saying?
The evil are ensnared by the transgressions of their lips, but the righteous escape from trouble.
Oh, she a Christian now.
12:13. Although my attorney didn't provide an alternate theory while defending me, it's clear that in the discovery where there...
Judge Batty, I cannot believe you bought this. I also cannot believe that she's been holding the same facial expression for 7 minutes. Unbelievable, quite frankly. To me, there is no reason why Megan should not have served at least like 10 years. At least time to sit in the cell and think about what she did. She was facing a life sentence and she served 1 year.
There were other people who weren't being truthful and should have been questioned as well. And you'd think because one of my brother's hobbies is hurting my dad, he would have been questioned. But all it took was for my brother, who at this point changed the truth, to point the finger at me. In the police video, if you pay close attention, you will find that I only agreed to the things they said first. Just like my brother, I'd do anything to protect my dad and the possibility of self-harm, even lie. And I apologize for those lies. If I knew that simple lie would ruin my life, I would have closed my mouth. We all learn at some point. I wish more than anything I would have testified at trial, but I can't go back, and I can only fight my butt off right now. This whole time the prosecution has tried to make me look like a monster, but that's not me and it never was. The real me is the girl who laughs a little too loudly.
Do we need to watch the opening statements? I know the prosecution did their job, Lord willing. Opening statements? And the brother testifies?
Right there in the front.
We're gonna watch some of this trial after this. We're gonna watch a couple more minutes of this and then I'm going to the trial.
The real me is the girl who laughs a little too loudly and loves a little too hard. The kind of girl who sees the best in everyone. I babysit kids for moms that can't afford much and volunteer at Vacation Bible School. I was on the soccer team and performed in the choir and musicals. And my favorite thing is when my dad would wake me up in the crack of dawn to show me the deer in our yard. I'm a good student and sister, but most importantly, I'm a good daughter. I was the only one who took care of my dad. Even though it was hard, it made me feel loved and needed. My dad was proud of the girl I was becoming, and even now I know he's looking down from heaven, proud that I've been strong enough to get here. He's strong enough to still fight. I didn't just lose my dad, but I lost my big brother. And this whole time I've tried to hate him for what he...
Dude, you've been talking shit about your brother this whole time. Oh my God, I have to see his testimony.
He did, but I can only forgive him. And I hope he knows that I'll always love him, no matter what. One of my biggest fears moving forward is that people will think that I'm some monster, something I'm far from. Mr. DeSantis so badly wants to take away my future without a care that for the past 17 months I sat and faced some of the hardest punishments. My great uncle died, and again I didn't get to say goodbye. My brother needs me, and
You got 1 year in prison for murder, and you just gonna have the audacity to say you faced some of the hardest battles because you didn't get to say goodbye to your uncle? Help! Help! Next clip. Darrell Brooks flips out when prosecutor reveals he's a sex offender. La la la, la la la, I'm not listening.
Question this witness and to look at the veracity of what your claims are here. So, when we...
La la la, are you done yet? Are you done yet? God, what a fucking psychotic response. Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my mind.
I may take an early lunch. If that's in your cell, then you can go get it and bring it. But without that letter, I'm not allowing this line of questioning. Do you have the letter with you in court?
I just said no. How many times I gotta say the same thing?
Oh my God, he's like a little kid.
Record?
You know, sometimes, sir, I don't hear what you say because you interrupt me so much or you answer quietly. And I'm taking notes and I'm focused on probably a dozen things at the same time.
But if I say something under my breath, everybody seems to hear it. What? Everybody seems to hear that just fine.
In a quiet courtroom,
we
can hear it very clearly.
Everybody assumes that it has to be.
Dude, that's the typical thing of we're talking about this, and then they come in, they say, well, what about this? And they try to get you to engage with the thing over there, because then they can go, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And it just builds a little net that gets further and further and further, or I'm sorry, a little web that gets further and further and further away from the core issue that we're talking about.
Be disparaging.
Once again, you're doing this tactic.
Because it's not a tactic, it's facts.
That's right, call him out.
Some other reason.
It's facts. Because I find it hard to believe that
I'm gonna
all of a sudden nobody hears what I say.
I'm going to let the state make a record of why they believe it's objectionable because I haven't let them do that. I've given you multiple opportunities to tell me why you believe it's...
I didn't get these pictures from nobody else. Why was somebody else...
The record will reflect you have 2 pictures that you believe were from this witness.
That I know is from him.
No, that you believe.
That I know.
All right, I'll ask the state their position on all of this.
These 2 right here. Let's go, ladies. Let's go.
Law should not be admissible. 1, because of a discovery violation. We've never seen them before.
2,
because we have reason to believe that he did not get them from Erica Patterson. He is on a jail phone call talking.
He didn't submit them during the discovery phase. He just pulled it out. He's not following any protocol for actually being an attorney, obviously. He just watched a couple movies, stepped in the courtroom and said, let's go.
About Dawn Woods sending these photographs to him. Now,
that's a lie. I object to that.
Let the state make their argument without interruption, sir.
That's a lie, though.
3, I believe that these photographs are designed to make a suggestion to the jury that Erica Patterson is a bad mom. I think that is what the defendant is trying to do. And if we're going to go down that road, then we would be forced to counter that claim. First of all, it doesn't make her an incredible witness, if it's even true. And second of all, if we go down that road, we would be forced to counter that claim by pointing out that not only does the defendant not live with the child in question, he doesn't live with any of the other children that he has. He impregnated Erica Patterson when she was a minor in Nevada. And for doing so, he was convicted of statutory sexual seduction, pled guilty in March of 2007 to that felony offense, and is a sex offender on the registry as a result. So if there's any causation that would lead to Erica Patterson being a bad mom, Mr. Brooks has a direct role in that causation.
And that's
furthermore,
I object to that.
I'm not
because that's a lie.
Let him
at the end of the day,
I don't think it's a lie.
No, since he want to make a record and not be accurate, so let's be accurate all on the record. Since you think you know so much.
Once
so
again,
we can
Mr.
open the
Brooks
door
is
on.
being
We can
loud,
open the door on how old she told me she was.
Interrupting.
We can ask that question
He is
too. Then
over the top animated
Do you
right
know
now.
that?
Mr. Brooks, I'm ordering you to sit down and to let the state finish.
No, I'm not going to sit here and let somebody be inaccurate on the record and lie on the record.
Right. Under Illinois versus Allen, I've warned him repeatedly. He's being removed from the courtroom. And you know what? Let me dial that back. We're just going to take an early lunch, 1 hour. We'll be back.
Oh my God.
He brings that letter. And he can show it is inadmissible. She will not be questioned. And under 90611, I will declare the cross-examination closed. Thank you. We're in recess. 1 hour.
You don't even know what happened. Dude, is it just me, or he alternates between sounding like a little kid and an angry mom that's really immature. Oh, you think you're smart. Oh, you're gonna sit here and talk about that. Look, some of y'all ain't have parents like that, but some of y'all do. Look, man, that just made me realize, if a parent ever says to you, well, since you think you know everything, that's fucking rude, dude.
All right, Mr. Brooks, you are well aware that the reason documents are being put on the
I don't consent to being
stand
called that name.
Stop talking! Are because this court indicated it would limit the movement of the parties due to your custodial status to keep things fair.
And I merely asked, how did it get there?
Sir, do not interrupt me, or you will forfeit your right to be present in this courtroom.
So you holding me in contempt? Are you holding me in contempt?
How do you do?
I'm gonna make a record.
Are you holding me in contempt?
I'm not answering your questions.
So then you're not holding me in contempt.
Do not interrupt me again, or you will go to the other courtroom.
Dude.
Under what lawful law?
This
All right,
is just
he's
a
interrupted
control
me once
game.
Again. We're going to clear the courtroom. He's being disrespectful. I'll make a record once he moves. Unless you can promise me right now that you let me make my record without you interrupting me, sir.
She gives him an
You gonna
opportunity
make your
for
record?
power.
You can make your record.
Then please don't interrupt me.
Don't hold me in contempt.
I've never said any such thing.
Removing me from the courtroom, Your Honor, is essentially holding me in contempt.
All right. No, you're forfeiting your right to be present under Illinois versus Allen.
I didn't forfeit anything.
I'm going to start talking, and if he interrupts, then I will close this courtroom, and he will be taken to the next courtroom. Mr. Brooks, you are well aware that the court made some pretrial rulings related to whether there would be, they can stay in, I haven't closed it yet, he's not interrupting me, whether the parties could approach the witness stand. And I did that because you're in custody, and I'm not going to allow you to approach the witness stand while in custody. That is why various precautions have taken place to limit, frankly, that from happening. Throughout this trial, there was one instance at the very beginning of the case where I allowed the state to approach a witness. I corrected that. That hasn't happened since. We've had bailiffs take items up to the witness stand, or the items have been given to the witnesses, or they've been placed on the witness stand. That's proper. There is nothing wrong about that. Nobody's trying to pull a fast one over you. No one is doing something that's not permitted by this court, or frankly under the rules of decorum.
She's trying to reason with him in some way. You can't reason with anyone that's stuck in a delusion. The delusion keeps them safe from whatever they're afraid of, right? Like, and I'll mention the Jacqueline Otis one again because it's a video I feel like a lot of people saw, or if you haven't seen it yet, that one's really a roller coaster. But it keeps them safe from whatever they're super afraid of. So like, you know, if someone's super afraid they'll never be loved, they might create an entire delusion around being loved by multiple people or this celebrity, or like everyone's in love with them. And Darrell, this delusion that he didn't do this horrible thing is keeping him safe. And there's no way, if you actually try to engage with someone that's in a like complete state of delusion, you kind of have to like hear them out. And then the best you can say is, what evidence can I provide you that would make you think otherwise? And it gives the power back to them. You may not get very far after that because this is so much deeper than whatever topic you're talking about.
Frankly, from my perspective, sir, your attempts and your comments are to try to dig in at this jury and to somehow create doubt about the presentation of this case or the fairness of these proceedings. Without the party, meaning the state, having an opportunity to refute, explain, or correct it. I've taken the jury out at this point to admonish you that any further mumbling under your breath or not recognizing when I uphold or sustain an objection, that I will take as a disrupting interruption meant to disrupt the proceedings. I'm not holding you in contempt. I'm well aware that that's one of my options. I choose not to do it for the reasons that I've stated on the record previously. All right, you can forfeit your right to be present at any point in time during this trial by your conduct under Illinois versus Allen. Let's bring the jury back in.
Well, you might as well remove me then, because what you're doing is not fair. I can't even rebut what you're saying. I didn't interrupt you. I let you make your incorrect record.
Your incorrect
Mr. Brooks,
record.
I'm bringing the jury out.
Dude. She literally finally got everything out that she needed to say to do her job. And then at the end of it, he's like, yeah, I let you finish your incorrect record.
Mr. Brooks, I'm bringing the jury out and we're continuing. We're going to get through these witnesses.
That's how I lost my job.
Behavior, you're not going to delay these proceedings today.
I'm not trying to delay the proceedings, so I wish you would stop being incorrect on the record and saying what I'm trying to do if you don't know that. You don't know what I'm trying to do.
I'm bringing the jury out. I'm not going to argue with you.
Then don't. Because I'm not arguing with you either. I'm stating facts.
You're raising your voice. It's
because I'm tired of you always making a record.
At me.
You're making a record of me trying to look bad. I know what you're trying to do. It's not gonna work.
I'm making a record of what's accurately.
You're making a record of incorrect statements.
Dude, Jennifer, I'm tired. I'm tired of you always doing that.
I'm tired, bro.
Are we in a fucking courtroom?
Your Honor, when I leave the table, I'm away from the courtroom and I have to elevate my voice. This is the alleged record of Abel Lescott.
Stop talking.
Come on, man. Like, I don't know who y'all be thinking y'all fooling. I accept the value in return for value this document.
One more interruption and you're going to be removed to the next courtroom.
That's what you want to do anyway.
It's not what I want to do. Do not interrupt Attorney Opera.
So can
Your Honor, I
can
believe he has 7 prior criminal convictions via OWI 2nd from 1997, and OWI 3rd from 1997, and OWI 4th from 2003, criminal trespass to dwelling from 2006.
Right, I need to take a break. This man right now is having a stare down with me. It's very disrespectful.
I would have stared back, and then I would have started making funny faces. That's what I would have done.
We believe the testimony will then be that very moment after she shot and killed her mother, she then hides that gun back out of the camera, walks back into that kitchen, sits down on a stool with a gun behind her, picks up her mother's cell phone, puts her mom's passcode into the phone. We believe the testimony will be that then she texts her stepdad and said something to the effect of, "When will you be home, honey?" Testimony will be that then she waited.
My God. I saw her pick up that phone in the video, and then, oh my God, editor, we don't want to put the whole video in, but can you put up a picture of her just on the phone? That is so terrifying. That is so terrifying.
Testimony will be that then she waited for him to respond. I'll be a little bit longer. She sends him a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we believe the testimony will then be that after she puts the phone back down and walks out of sight with the camera, that between the next 45 minutes or so, that the defendant reaches out to or attempts to reach out to about 5 or 6 of her friends. Some were FaceTime, some were text messages.
She's addicted
we
to that
believe the evidence
phone.
will show that during this time, she was asking them all for help, trying to get them to come over to her house. She wouldn't tell them why.
What?
We believe that one of them's going to say he even offered to call 911, and she told him no.
Was she just trying to kill more
The evidence
people?
will also be that one of these friends did in fact come over to help Carly that day.
Okay, and then what?
She didn't know why, but she knew that her friend needed help, and she went to that home. We believe the evidence will show that when that friend arrived at Carly's house, that Carly walked to the front door, asked her, "Are you squeamish around dead bodies?" We believe the evidence will show that then she took that friend and showed her her dead mother laying on the floor. We believe the evidence will show that after that, she says, "I put 3 in my mom, and I got 3 more waiting for my stepdad when he gets home."
Oh my God.
We believe the evidence will show that then she tells this friend, "Hey, why don't you go wait outside in the backyard? My stepdad's about to be home."
Oh
This
my
friend
God.
will testify that she does go in the backyard and she hears gunshots. And the
What?
next thing she sees is Carly coming out of the back door. We believe the testimony will be
What?
that she fell down coming out of the back door, gets up and tells her to run. And these 2 individuals, this friend and Carly, jump over the fence and run separate directions.
I knew a bit about this case, but I was nervous to dive in and see all the details because I'm already on the side of if you shoot your mother 3 times with a magnum, you need to go to jail. And then hearing the rest of the details is horrifying. But the fact that some people are defending Carly Gregg because she's 14 or 15, get the fuck out of here. And hey, spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you what the sentencing was. She got life in prison. But let's see how we got there.
You'll hear from law enforcement that when they arrived on the scene, Ashley Smiley was very much dead in the floor in Carly's bedroom.
Wow.
And that they found that Heath Smiley had been shot and hit in the shoulder. You will hear from law enforcement that sometime after the day of the event, they learned that there was cameras involved, that this home had surveillance video. You'll learn that one of those videos was turned over by the living victim, Heath Smiley, and it shows Carly Gregg and her friend jumping over the fence. And then you'll learn that there was another camera in the house on March the 19th, 2024. And you'll hear that that camera was not in the kitchen when law enforcement got there, and it was not in the kitchen where it should have been when Heath Smiley got there. It wasn't until sometime later that that camera was discovered.
In my time now watching court cases, Julie's not supposed to act like this. Y'all know, if you watch a lot of cases with me, you know at this point, Julie's supposed to keep a low composure. I mean, we here for it, but I ain't never heard anybody in the pit like this in court.
Tell him how you called that injury.
Like, Camille ain't even come out that hard.
Judge, I ask you to instruct the witness to answer the question.
Ms. Groves,
tell her to answer
by
the question.
testifying, you're subject to cross-examination. You have to answer the questions on cross-examination that
And
are
if your
relevant to these
attorney can't bail you out, you have to
proceedings.
answer.
If the question is a relevant question, you will answer the question at this time.
Well, we're waiting.
It's like a little kid. See, when she's going through her rehearse lines, she could just answer all day, but she can't.
I'll remind you of my earlier admonition to you. Do not discuss this case amongst yourselves or with anyone else. Do not permit anyone to discuss it with you or in your presence. It is your duty not to form or express an opinion on this case until it is finally submitted to you. Ms. Groves, you should remain seated where you're at. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you are excused at this time.
They did not zoom in on the justice with her crying. So the judge has basically said, Julie, take it down a notch. You're at a 9. We need you to bring it down to a 4.
Tell the jury how you caused that complete upper arm
He
fracture.
said, cool it down, Julie.
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No, I don't.
You remember the day you said the injuries were caused on the 27th, and he died on the 28th, so you remember all that detail. But you don't remember how you caused that upper arm fracture.
No, I don't.
Tell the jury why you wrote on your calendar on April 24th, worst day ever when Daniel was taken, but there was no entry about the worst day ever when you killed that baby.
That right there kind of backs up what I was saying before about how she would do anything for Daniel, but her own child that she carried inside of her to term for 9 months, out the window. Only cares about the relationship between her and her dude. Do anything for her man, even take the fall for him, right up until the end.
I didn't kill my baby.
You didn't?
An accident.
How did you cause those injuries?
I don't remember.
Then how do you remember it was an accident?
Because I would never.
Because I would
hurt my
never,
children
yeah.
Intentionally. Never.
How did you cause those injuries?
I don't remember. I done told you that. And the worst day ever, the day that I lost my last child, both of my children.
Look at this photograph, Jessica Groves.
Don't, editor, don't do it. Do not. Don't do it.
Look at this photograph, Jessica Groves. When was it that your husband realized you were pregnant? Wait a minute. When was it you realized you were pregnant?
Probably when I was about 5.5 months.
Which was when? What month?
October.
When was it your husband knew you were pregnant?
Toward the end of October, beginning of November.
How is it your husband didn't know you were doped up the whole time you were pregnant?
Because I kept it a secret.
Why did you guys tell your son that a dream catcher hurt that baby?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Tell the jury about that. You said you didn't remember. Tell the jury what happened with that dream catcher.
I didn't think that dream catcher had injuries to that extent.
So that accident didn't cause his death?
No.
That sounds to me, I didn't think that dream catcher had injuries to that extent. That sounds like she almost wanted to say, I didn't think that the dream catcher could do that. She's trying to say it was an accident, like he got tangled up in it or something like that. Like, absolutely not. But if she had something with a thick frame and she was hitting her child with it, he's very young. It could do some major damage. That's what it sounds like she wanted to say there, and she had to correct herself.
Why didn't you tell Jodi Conkle there were all these accidents that killed my baby?
Because I was scared.
Of what?
Getting in trouble.
What's everything? You were scared of what?
Of admitting the truth.
Well, tell the jury what the truth is. You didn't tell Detective Conkle what the truth was. You didn't tell your son what the truth was. Tell this jury what the truth is.
I don't remember it all.
Why didn't you tell your sister Stacy Hall what the truth was? You told her this had nothing to do with drugs. I swear. Nothing, Stacy. I would tell you.
Me and Stacy has not had a lot of communication over my 40 years.
Ma'am, why didn't you tell Stacy the truth? That's the question.
Why would I?
Why wouldn't you?
I've never had any family support over my 40 years.
Ma'am, why didn't you tell Stacy the truth?
Why would I?
Don't ask me questions.
Me and her's not that close. She is a half sister that we have never had that close relationship.
40 years old.
So you lied to her?
Yes, I did.
And you lied to your son?
Yes, I did.
And you lied to Detective Conkle?
Yes, I did.
But you want this jury to believe you just don't remember and you're not lying to them. Look at these ladies and gentlemen and tell them.
She's gonna say
it. Tell the jury about the day you wrapped that baby in plastic. Tell them what happened.
I don't quite remember it all.
So let's talk about reasons why you may or may not believe Defendant Daniel.
Because he just sat there and said I had nothing to do with it.
It was that Children's Services took the baby. Then it was that he just found baby Dylan dead. Nobody killed him. Next, he told Daniel Jr. the dream catcher hurt the baby.
The dream catcher. I will never get over that.
In a jail visit, he tells a female he didn't kill him or dump his body. He didn't have anything to do with any of this. And yet another version that we heard in here this morning was that he watched his wife strike that child in the head 4 times and snatch him up by the ribs. If you believe that he wasn't the principal, then discuss whether or not he was complicit. And we talked about some of that, about Children's Services placing the baby with this defendant.
Dude, she probably feels so guilty. She shouldn't, but that's what guilt does to you. It also makes me wonder if they told Jessica and Daniel, like, let's just have Jessica take the fall. You know, she's a woman, so they're gonna give her a lighter sentence. I bet you they probably ate that up. BOZE conspiracy land, but I just have a feeling that was a mechanism because the way that they did this is just all really gross.
How is he complicit? Who was it that Children's Services was having all that contact with? She testified it was Daniel Groves, that he had 4 different phone numbers she was trying to communicate with.
They got their child back. Why?
You're expected to believe that these parents, who everyone from the hospital testified, never asked questions about that baby when he was removed and couldn't breathe, stayed glued to each other, and then packaged up their baby and threw him in a 30-foot well, were suddenly so caring that they wanted to hold baby Dylan every time Patricia Kraft was there. I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that's the way it's been from the time that baby was born to right here this week. Against their own children.
Dude, she just makes you want to listen to her. Have y'all ever heard me be this quiet before during a case? I was thinking, is it because it's late? And I'm like, no, I just get sucked into everything she's saying.
Did she take responsibility when she spoke with Detective Conkle? She take responsibility when she spoke to her sister?
No.
Did she take responsibility in here this morning when she spoke to you? She can't remember what happened, but she does remember it was an accident. Is that taking responsibility for these injuries? You're expected to believe Defendant Daniel Groves, everything he said in here. The same guy who, after they say the baby was dead, tells Children's Services in a text message he's growing like a weed.
Growing like a weed.
You were told that Daniel Groves panicked and dumped baby Dylan in a 30-foot well. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, does this look like panic to you? Does it? A chain, 3 padlocks, 12 zip ties, 8 wire ties, 18 rocks, 6 layers of plastic and duct tape. Does this look like panic? I submit to you it looks like extreme planning. They want you to believe they're not complicit to their baby's murder. But this is what they chose for a coffin and his burial? This?
Dude, she really turned around and looked at him and she said, this is what you chose? I can't imagine anybody going back in the jury to deliberate from this and say not guilty. Can't imagine it.
It's William Brown.
Hi, Will.
The Deputy District Attorney of Dane County.
This guy's approach is like a little bit different. Like most people come up all like strong and authoritative. He just seems like a person. Like I already kind of like him. Like don't get me wrong, I'm a little biased because the comment said he's about to slay this shit, but I like his approach. As a jury member, I'm like, hi, Will.
Everyone was trying to gauge your knowledge of the case, maybe any preconceived notions you had about the criminal justice system.
Okay.
Ms. Vera asked you a lot of questions about what you would think if she did nothing and sat there, and those were good questions.
Is it just me, or do I feel safe with him? I feel my shoulders dropping. I'm like ready to listen.
To present evidence, that means to call witnesses. The judge talked about what evidence is. When we think of evidence, sometimes we think of, especially a murder case, you're in a murder case, you think of the gun, and you'll get that. There'll be a gun.
Okay.
You'll see that.
I'm listening,
But evidence
Will.
is so much. When people raise their right hand and they swear to tell the truth, that's evidence. Now, you as jurors can decide whether you believe it or not. Do they have anything to gain by what they're saying?
Ooh.
Do they have anything to lose?
Oh, shit.
All those things are up to you.
I love that. Hold on. I really love what he said. I've never thought about that before. And this applies in any conversation. Even those conversations that we have about those narcissists and those crazy people. He said, when somebody makes a statement, you have to ask yourself, do they have anything to lose here? And do they have anything to gain? Do they get to gain your trust? Do you believe them now? Have they calmed you down? Are you more in control? Are you more in compliant with the direction that they want to go? Do they have something to lose in this case? One example of this is when we were watching that Stephanie Sue video and she told something very, very private and personal that happened in her home that she did not need to share, but she did it to reinforce her story. In that, Stephanie had something to lose by saying that. Her privacy, but she chose to do it for the greater good to help her story. So I really love what this prosecutor says, and you can apply that almost to everyday life.
Our job is to, over the course of the next couple of weeks, present evidence.
Mother, we found a
to
daddy.
show you the Chandler Halderson killed his parents, dismembered their bodies, and hid them around southern Wisconsin. We've been talking about Bart and Krista Halderson. You've heard their names mentioned numerous times by the judges.
Bart!
Here.
So Bart Halderson, at one point, when he is incredibly suspicious that his son is just making all this stuff up, because you know what, let's be real. When your kid's a fucking liar, you know that they're a liar. Y'all know when you meet somebody that just be lying about some shit, and it's not a big enough lie that you want to push them on it, and you're like, okay, I'll wait for the big lie, right? When you're a parent of a lying child like Casey Anthony, you know, okay? And Bart Halderson got to a point where he didn't want to deal with his kids' lies anymore. So he had a meeting scheduled with the school, with Chandler, where they were supposed to go up there and talk to the university that he claimed he was enrolled in. He wasn't,
And then Bart decides to take matters into his own hands, and he called the school for something a little bit unrelated. He was looking for some confirmations of something. And on the call, and it was like actually a recorded call, it might be somewhere in this case, the school attendant says, "We don't have a student by the name of Chandler Halderson." And then Bart Halderson said, "That'll be all." And then he got off of the phone. And then after that, he went missing. He knew Chandler was lying. He fucking knew, dude.
That's Bart and Krista Halderson. Couple in their early 50s, living in Windsor, Wisconsin. That's the Halderson home. At this point, perhaps it would be best if I told you a little bit about the Halderson family.
Okay. Dude,
Bart,
he's going
the father,
in.
Krista, the mother. They have 2 sons.
Is it just me, or is this like basically Grant Amato Part 2? Like, holy shit, dude.
IT person for a local corporation, doing pretty well in life.
Okay, Mitchell had a job,
He's
brother had a
engaged,
job,
doing pretty well in
engaged.
life. Buying a house, adult things, growing up.
Oh no, what's Chandler
But in
doing?
July of 2021, it's Bart and Krista living in that house, and their adult 23-year-old son, Chandler Halderson, living in his room.
Okay.
Now, all of the events I'm going to describe, for the most part, take place during the first week of July, from the 1st to about the 8th. So I put up a calendar. This is not evidence in the case, I suppose. It might be. Maybe I'll mark it as an exhibit. But it's to provide some reference, and I put the little flag on there, because if you remember this year, the 4th of July was on a Sunday. Everyone celebrated, of course, all weekend. A lot of places celebrated on Saturday. But the 4th of July was on a Sunday. So as I say things up here, what I'm saying is what I expect to prove in the next couple of weeks.
I never thought about this before. So attorneys have to build trust with the jury, right? And they can do this in a myriad of ways. Some people, their approach is to come in and be loud, authoritative, assertive, and say, "I'm gonna tell you the facts today." And sometimes that will kind of almost intimidate the jury, like, "Oh, okay, ooh, here we go." William Brown's approach is he spent the last 5 minutes making us trust him. And what a powerful tool for an attorney to have this soft sense of trust. Because me and the jury, I'm like, I am eating this up. I am eating this. I'm like so tempted to just see the other one. Okay, we're gonna wait to watch the defense after this, but I don't know how they're gonna follow up. Will is about to give it to us for another 50 minutes. He's gonna show us text messages, security footage. Oh my fucking God. Everyone shut up.
But what I expect to prove beyond any reasonable doubt
Yes, Lord.
is that on July 1st, 2021, somewhere between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m.,
Sorry.
Chandler Halderson murdered his parents.
Take him
It's
out.
an important date, and it's an important time to remember. July 1st, between 3 and 5. But the story doesn't start there. The story starts a week later.
Okay.
On July 7th, 2021, nearly a week after killing his parents.
Bro, he's
But
telling
no
it.
one in the world knowing. Chandler Halderson walks into the Northeast Precinct of the Dane County Sheriff's Office and says, "I'd like to file a missing persons report." And he gives a long story. My parents, they just haven't come back from the cabin. They were there this weekend. We have a cabin up north. It's in White Lake, up in Langlade County. It's pretty far up north, a couple
He's
of
always,
hours.
like painting the story, like
They
making
just
it
haven't
more
come back
intimate,
yet.
like the
they were
details.
going to come back Monday or Tuesday, and I don't know where they are.
That's what he said.
Who were they with? The deputies ask. I don't know. I helped them pack Thursday night. They must have left Friday early before I woke
helped
up
them
at 6.
pack?
Who'd they go with? I don't know. Where are their cars? Well, they're still at the house. What'd you help them pack?
Yeah.
Bottles of liquor, lots of money, tools, silver bars.
What? Oh, come the fuck on. When he said, "I helped my parents pack," at 23, we ain't helping our parents pack a damn thing. But, maybe he would have taken the suitcases and put them in the car. Or maybe they would have, maybe something like that. But Chandler telling me that he went to the deputy and was like, "Yeah, my parents asked me to help them pack up a lot of tools, liquor, and money." What is he, just trying to throw a whole bunch of random items in there and confuse the fuck out of them? All right, I can't do it anymore. Spoiler alert, he's guilty.